Hey, football fans, Big D with a little Jacksonville Jaguars Thanksgiving preview on the Big D podcast. Before I bring in my friend from Duval County, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. You can see all my episodes that I upload, streams. Got some more videos on the way. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So joining us to talk about my favorite NFL team, that being the Jags, it's Mr. Brad Harvin. Brad, it felt unusual watching football knowing that my team was off yesterday, right?
Yeah, I hear you, Dylan. First off, I definitely appreciate you having me back. I love talking about the Jaguars. And yeah, to answer your question, it was weird. Here in Jacksonville, we were stuck with that Jets and Patriots game, which was god awful until the end. And then luckily they kind of bounced around some games. But yeah, no, it was weird. But I guess, I mean, not only do the players need a break, I think the fans needed a break after that, after those first 10 games, because it's certainly been a little bit of a roller coaster and a big series of what ifs. So yeah, I mean, just getting geared up for these last 7 games here in Duval.
Yeah, over the first 10 games, the Jags are 3-7, but despite the record, I think there are some promising things for the Jags. I mean, obviously, when you think of Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence is the first name who comes to mind. So, have you seen improvements with Trevor in year 2 under Doug Peterson?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I definitely have. There was definitely a lull there during their 6-game losing streak. He was getting blamed for a lot of it. Definitely some poor decisions in London against the Broncos at the goal line a couple times and some other games. But it seems like they've kind of shortened the game a little bit for him as far as passes. He hasn't really been taking too many downfield shots as much. I'd like to see that open up a little bit, but I'm not sure if they have the receivers, which I imagine we'll talk about a little bit later. But I think they're allowing him to use his athleticism a little bit, and he's able to run a little bit more, which is always certainly good to see from a young quarterback from a fantasy standpoint as well, fantasy football standpoint. But I mean, I think that kind of, helps him, get into the groove a little bit. The maturity process is there. He's definitely taken, I wouldn't say a leap, but it's definitely a step forward compared to last season. And I think really just, kind of get through these 7 games, kind of see what shakes out as far as the receivers go, make sure that he continues to progress, and then really look forward to next year when they have Calvin Ridley.
I think Trevor's shown a lot of promise. I mean, he's been a little inconsistent, but that comes with young quarterbacks. I mean, we've seen it even with Josh Allen.
Sure.
But Trevor's played well, particularly against the Colts, the Chargers. I like it. Despite losing an Arrowhead, I think Trevor played really well.
He did
a lot of passes. I mean, I don't know. I think it was the second touchdown to Christian Kirk was a beautiful pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you're going to lose because Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid are better than Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence right now. But Trevor played really well in that game.
Yeah, I thought he handled that well. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a few bad moments. I mean, Denver game was bad. Philadelphia wasn't bad for a game-ending pick against Washington. But
right,
there's a lot that I like about Trevor. Now, what's going to happen the next 7 weeks coming off the bye, because I want to see Trevor continue to get better, take the next step. And I think the Jags have got it. I think he's got a chance to win some games. I mean, yeah, there'll be some hard games. Baltimore this weekend, Tennessee, but Trevor and the Jags got a chance to win a couple of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a nice little 7-game run. They do play Tennessee twice. They haven't played them yet. I would love to see see them trip Tennessee up at least once. I mean, that's always wishful thinking around here.
Yeah,
With them
when
being our
Derrick Henry
rival.
runs for 420 yards
Exactly.
against us.
Yeah. Pushes around like rag dolls. But I mean, I think Trevor is definitely. I think he's a quiet leader. He's definitely not a rah guy. He's not going to get in your face like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning. But I think he likes to lead by example. He did that at Clemson, and hopefully he can continue to mature and do that here in Jacksonville. But since we last time we talked, there's been some trade. There was a trade for my boy, James Robinson. A few years ago, I wrote an article for Full Press Coverage, kind of highlighting him as a undrafted free agent. So for him to come in, and he took over for Lenny Fournette. I mean, I had a special place in my heart for James Robinson. I was actually kind of surprised to see him go, but now the reins are over to the second year running back out of Clemson, Lawrence's running mate, I guess you could say, and Travis Etienne. So I mean, what are your thoughts on what you've seen from him lately?
Well, I mean, until the game against Kansas City, I've seen an explosive run. I mean, everyone worried how Etienne would be off his Liz Frank injury, and I'm not worried about it because not only is Etienne looking like the same running back he was at Clemson, but the Jags are giving him more work. I mean, 10,
Yep.
14, 24, 28, 8 carries. So Etienne can handle the workload. What I want to see the Jaguars do is use Etienne in the passing game because watching a ton of Clemson games, Trevor often used Etienne, whether it's a safety valve or as a receiver running a wheel route. I think Doug Peterson, the offense, should use Etienne as a receiver. You know the West Coast offense loves throwing screen passes. Just give Etienne like 4, 5, 6 screen, maybe if Etienne could get like 5 to 7 targets, that makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have somebody with ETM, just dynamic playmaking ability, you want to get him the ball in space. And I agree with you, Dylan. They should try and get him a little bit more involved in the passing game. Coming into last year, it seemed like that was going to be the case. I mean, granted, different regime, Urban Meyer regime. We're trying to forget that around here in Duval, but he certainly has the pass catching capability. I mean, compared to the other running backs that are on the roster right now, Jermichael Hasty and Snoop Connor. I mean, they're not gonna see the field like James Robinson was. So I mean, I think getting Etienne the ball quickly, even a little flare route or a screen or definitely the wheel route. I mean, who's going to cover him? Is it going to be a linebacker? Is it going to be safety? I'd like to see it. One thing I've liked watching Etienne is just his ability to really fall forward. It doesn't seem like he takes like a straight on hit, kind of falls forward, which is good, especially for someone his size. He is a little undersized for a running back. Jaguars have definitely felt the pains with that around the goal line, trying to get him in. But as far as breakaway speed and just sheer raw talent, everybody around here is super excited with what the future holds with Etienne in the backfield.
So obviously the Jaguars made a big free agent addition the offseason, adding Christian Kirk to the offense, and I know people are going to link Christian Kirk with Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, who all got big contracts. But do you think Christian Kirk has lived up to the contract?
Yeah, I mean, does anybody really live up to a contract these days? But I mean, what he's done for the Jaguars, he certainly has been the number one receiver this season. He's got over 50 catches, probably close to 700 yards. Where he's making an impact is finding the end zone, which is something receivers had trouble doing for years here in Jacksonville. DJ Chark would kind of flash in a pan every now and then, but Kirk seems to be pretty consistent. Now he did have Yeah, but he had a hurtful drop against Kansas City a couple weeks ago. But all in all, I mean, he's coming in. I mean, just a smooth, very smooth route runner. I think a lot of people kind of overlooked that just because of he was either the number 2 or number 3 in Arizona, behind Fitzgerald. But I think he learned from Fitzgerald and how to really get open. One thing that surprised me is that he was a smaller guy, but I think he's for right now. He's certainly doing his job in Jacksonville. Putting some points on the board, which is something that has been desperate around here. Certainly looking forward to him teaming up with Calvin Ridley next season for Jacksonville if Ridley decides to play. So
I'm glad you mentioned Calvin Ridley because I think Christian Kirk's been pretty good this year. He was really good against Kansas City with 9 for 105 and 2 touchdowns on 12 targets.
Right.
But if you have Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne with some combo of Marvin Jones and Zay Jones, Jaguars gonna have a decent little offense next year.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think you left out Evan Ingram because I think these 7 games for Evan Ingram. I mean, he's on a 1-year contract. I mean, he's had a nice season so far. No, he hasn't had the case of the drops like he was having as a Giant. For several years
because he doesn't have Daniel Jones throwing him the ball.
Yeah, there you go. But I think Ingram certainly has been a target, one of Trevor's favorite targets from time to time. But I mean, I think his athleticism. I mean, you throw that in that offense with the 3 guys that you already mentioned, along with with Zay Jones. I don't think they're going to re-sign Marvin Jones personally, but Zay Jones can be the flyer, who's also been a nice surprise, a nice addition at times for Jacksonville. So yeah, I mean the future's looking pretty bright for the playmakers on offense. But what about the defense? What are your thoughts on what's been going on with the defense? Talk about a roller coaster ride. I mean, they shut out the Colts and then they give up 20 to the Raiders in the first half, and then they shut them down, and then they go to Kansas City, and I mean they played fairly formidable against Kansas City, but there's been other times when Trevor and the offense have given them the lead going in, the last final minutes, and they've won it. So, what are your thoughts on that defense?
Well, what's the old saying? Offense wins games, defense wins championships, and there's a big glaring problem with this Jacksonville defense. Guess which team is 30th in the NFL in sacks with 16?
Got to be our Jaguars.
Yep, we are tied for 29th with the Bengals with 16 sacks.
Wow.
Ugh.
That's rough. That's rough. I mean, when you have a number 1 pick in Travon Walker, and then a few years removed, the top 10 pick in Josh Allen, you certainly expect a little bit more pressure. I mean, right now their best defensive end is a guy who's been here for a while. Juan Smoot has been causing some havoc, but yeah, I mean, they're just certainly Walker needs to find another move to get to that quarterback. Allen needs to play up to his hype coming out of college from Kentucky. And yeah, I mean, you give a quarterback time back there and they don't have to move off their spot. They're going to find their open receivers. You can't, the cornerbacks can't cover them for that long. And the cornerbacks aren't that great in the first place in either. So no, yes. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, Smoot leads the Jaguars with 5 sacks, Allen with 3, Travon Walker with 2.5. This year,
that's
be honest, I've seen a few flashes of Travon, but
right,
I've not seen the number 1 pick guy. I mean, you know who's played like the number 1 pick? That guy in Detroit, Aidan Hutchinson.
Yeah. Yes, he has. He has, and they're going to be compared their entire career. So, I guess you can throw Thibodeau in there as well with the Giants.
I'm just
all
thinking,
3 of them will be compared.
Could the Jags regret passing on Aidan Hutchinson for Walker? I know Walker might fit at 3-4 because he can be, but you draft the best player if you've got the number one pick.
Right. Yeah, if you won 1 or 2 games the year before, you want to get the best player. Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's certainly has been a conversation and controversy with Trent Baalke, the GM. I mean, sure, yes, he brought in Christian Kirk, who's that done it like we've already talked about him doing an admirable job. But he went all in on Travon Walker at number 1 and looked like he was going to pan out there early in the season. But he's the only noise he's made recently are a couple of boneheaded personal fouls or like after the whistle blown or something like that. So he hadn't done much. Maybe this week off, this bye week will kind of set him straight, and we'll see a better Walker these next 7 games.
So I'm just thinking, headed into thinking we talked a little about Trevor before, but to be honest, the rest of the 2021 quarterback class has been, to put it mildly, a little disappointing. I mean, Zach Wilson may or may not be starting by the time this
Agreed.
podcast is uploaded. Mac Jones has definitely regressed this year. Trey Lance can't get on the field. And Justin Fields, I mean, I love Justin Fields, but the Bears don't have any talent around him.
Right. Yeah. Fields is certainly making the noise with his legs. I mean, a couple 100-yard games. I mean, kind of Mike Vick-esque, but yeah, they're certainly hurting for playmakers around him. Khalil Herbert, got injured as well. So now they only have David Montgomery in the backfield. They went out and got Claypool, but I mean, Fields is I'm with you, Dylan. I really like Justin Fields. My son loves Justin Fields. We always the Bears are on. We're watching that because of Fields and his dynamic. But I think the Jets are probably kicking themselves a little bit for going after being enamored with the arm strength of a Zach Wilson coming from a BYU school, which, I mean, quite honestly, I mean, he played really well against the bad teams, and he did not do so hot against the good teams in college. But he wowed him at his with the fancy throws and the good looks, I guess, or whatever. And but he is certainly not panned out in New York, and it's kind of unfortunate for the Jets because they have a nice defense. They got solid pieces around them. Obviously, have done well in the draft, both last year and this year. Added some pieces, but they're. I would not be surprised if Mike White or Joe Flacco are trotting out there this week.
You imagine Joe Flacco. I mean, Justin Fields may not even play because he's got a shoulder, so it could be
right.
Who's the Bears backup quarterback? It'd be. I have no idea.
No idea anymore.
Might be the Bears and Jets backups this week.
Yeah.
So this weekend and for week 12, the Jaguars welcome the Baltimore Ravens. Appropriate during Thanksgiving week, the Jaguars are playing a bird team, that being the Ravens. Right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and a good opportunity. I mean, the Ravens that they come in. I mean, we know who Lamar Jackson is. We know how special and talented he is. But I mean, they're lacking on some playmakers as well. Yes, Mark Andrews is there, but he's a little banged up. Former Florida Gator Demarcus Robinson had a wonderful little game last week, and seems like he could be their new number 1 with Rashad Bateman out. So I mean, the opportunities there. If the Jaguars, kind of rested, maybe took care of some injuries, and hopefully they can. They're 4-point underdogs at home against the Ravens, who always seem to find a way to win. It seems like, but I mean, Jacksonville. It'd be nice to get. Certainly be a nice feather in the cap, a nice Raven feather in the cap for the Jaguars to come out on top on Sunday. And to answer your question about the Bears backup quarterback, it's Trevor Siemian. So,
Oh
ugh,
gosh.
yeah,
Oh no.
I just looked that up. Ouch. Yeah,
Can I play both defenses?
exactly.
I mean, to
Wow.
be honest, I think the Jags have got a chance, a very good chance of winning. I love
Sure.
teams coming off a bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson's coming off a bye, so give Lawrence 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
B, the Ravens offense has not been the same. I know the Ravens won yesterday, but something was, I don't know.
They're
Lamar has been
sluggish. Yeah.
Lamar hasn't been quite the same. Wasn't the same running ball. I'm sure he might not have been feeling well. And I mean, true, it was windy on the East Coast in Baltimore, which contributed to some of the offense struggles. But the Ravens don't scare me. I mean, yeah, Lamar's great. Mark Andrews is great. But if the Jaguars can keep Lamar in check running the ball and limit his big plays, I think the Jags have got a chance. I know, and the fact it's in Jacksonville, not Baltimore, will matter because I don't want to play an M&T Bank Stadium. That place is loud. I mean, sure, Jackson may not be the most intimidating home crowd, but
Mhm.
the fact it's here and Baltimore may not be used to the warmer, more humid weather
Sure.
in November.
Yeah, and that Ravens defense isn't a Ravens defense of the past. I mean, they can be scored on. I think Trevor and the boys can certainly take advantage of it and put some points on the board. And it's gonna be up to the defense to try and contain Lamar Jackson, get some 3-and-outs or get some stops. I mean, flip the field position, whatever they need to do to get the Jaguars offense back on the field, because I do think there's an opportunity for that offense.
I will say this: Lamar's probably the one quarterback I'm glad to have 2 weeks in preparedness because you imagine playing Lamar
Yeah,
on a
most
short
people,
week.
yeah, on a Thursday or something. Yeah, that'd be rough.
I'll take the extra
Ask the
week.
Bucks. Yeah,
I'll
ask the
take the
Bucks.
extra. I'll take the extra weekend preparing for that guy.
Sure, absolutely. Most people would for sure.
I know it might be a little early to think about the draft, but like, what if the Jags end up with a top 4 or 5 pick? Who would you like to see Jacksonville get?
Oof. I haven't really done my research on that. I mean, before the Ridley signing, I was hoping they, would go get the top wide receiver in the draft. I guess that still wouldn't be that bad of an idea to have a backup plan. But the way the defense is playing, I mean, I don't know. Is there a defensive lineman that's shining out, or I'm not really sure. Yeah, I haven't really dug deep. Have you checked anything out, Dylan?
I think Will Anderson be gone by the time the Jags pick, but
Yeah.
the Calder guy from Georgia is interesting to soak up the interior of the O-line. Jacksonville seemingly drafts Georgia defensive players every year,
Yeah.
which might not be bad because I mean, look at what
Yeah.
Tyson Campbell's done the last
Right.
but I think the Jags go either offensive or defensive line, either quarter or potentially, let me see. Where is he? Maybe I don't know, probably one of these tackles. I've heard a lot of good things about the Northwestern offensive line,
Okay.
about the Northwestern lineman. Plus, I mean, we've seen with Rashawn Slater what he's done
Right.
in the
Absolutely.
NFL. So
Yeah. And
I
there's some big
think
boys up there in Big Ten. So sure. Yeah.
because obviously maybe the best case for the Jags would be like somebody needed a quarterback and maybe they want to CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, or Will Levis and decide, you know what, we'll trade X picks to the Jags because the Jags could use more picks because the Jags aren't going to take a quarterback in the first at 4 or 5, whatever pick they end up with. So, I mean, you imagine if I mean, pick a number. Like, let's say the Jags end up with the number 3 pick, and let's say top 2 teams are Houston and
Carolina.
oh gosh, well yeah, it wouldn't be. I was just thinking Carolina wouldn't be bad. So
Yeah.
those 2 quarterbacks, but still a team could trade up, or the Jags could just take. Oh, they could take Roy Anderson, probably the
Right.
best player in this draft.
Right.
Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely start grinding on that, checking that out, and probably in a couple weeks. Get a better idea of where the Jags are headed towards the draft. But yeah, I mean, and then we'll spend several months talking about that.
Yeah, and then figure out what's going to happen between now and draft day, right?
Oh yeah, always working.
All right, thanks for hopping on, Brad. Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming on, and tell the folks in Duval County that Big D says hi.
You got it, Dylan. You have a great turkey day as well, bud. Thank you.